And it's on.
Got it. And yeah. Hello, all you lot out there. Welcome back to the Roons Mizz Arsenal chat. I'm Roons.
And I'm Miz.
And we come at you through the ups and the downs and the twists and the turns. But Misty, where are we at right now? Because we get some weeks where we don't get to do this, and I feel like a whole storyline has gone through and turned around. So
Yeah,
depending on where you're at, it's a different story.
I think there's some positive signs of how the team is doing. I mean, obviously losing against Liverpool the other day is not ideal. I was hoping for at least a draw
Yeah.
just to get something from it. But 5 games, 5 wins in a row leading up to that. I got a big game against Villa tomorrow. Honestly, they've been playing really well. Like,
When
despite
was
that
the
one
last
person that
time
we usually talk about. But yeah,
yeah,
5 wins in a yeah,
five straight up wins, not unbeaten. 5 wins,
wins.
Premier League in a row. Where you check, I don't know if you ever checked the table on Google.
Sky
Has
and
like
Sky
yeah,
Green.
a green check
Yeah,
mark.
yeah.
It's
Oh
like,
yeah,
I mean, the only two teams that had that were us and Liverpool. I mean,
yeah.
that's the kind of stuff you need to see. You want to see your
Right.
team doing. So
I was hopeful for the game the other day actually, and I think we were rightfully so. Like to be honest, we balled. Like they were on the first half. They were shook. Like we were bringing it to them, and I think that Odegaard miss in the beginning of the second half really hurt us. Like that was the moment that could have killed the game a little bit, and I've not killed it off, but like definitely given Liverpool something to revamp about,
yeah.
and then the tide really shifted from that moment, and we lost it from there. And
Well, it was like
but
such a
yeah,
deflating goal to give up because it felt like we had stopped them with such harder initiatives. I mean, they came out of the gate, they were pressing really hard,
yep,
and we rebuffed it and turned the tide on them for the first half. And then to just give up a goal that seemed like that was like they could have done better. It just Cedric
yeah.
was a little out of
Cedric,
position.
he was too far right. He didn't pinch in enough. It was just that switched off for one moment, and the game was dead there. Like
And then after that, it was just kind of like the
yeah,
momentum was so high and everyone was feeling so good with belief. But then when you go down 1-0, you're like, we're not gonna score 2 goals on them, you know?
right, right. Yeah, it's I think that there was some really positive signs in that game though. Like the Leicester game before, I mean, we beat them good, and we dominated, and we've been dominating games. And they've this new look team. Like I think Tomiyasu comes back into the right back position, and you get Granite Jack out of there, which seems likely in the summer. And whether Laka's future, however that is, to be honest, he's been balling, and we've always liked him.
Yeah.
I'd say give him a contract, but it's tough. It's tough because we do need another striker. We're gonna lose Nketiah, right? And he's, I mean,
I don't know if he's the answer anyway.
I don't think so. Every time he comes on, it's not a lot of production out there.
It's more a matter of we just should have gotten money for him.
Yeah, yeah. It's a bit of bad business like we usually do. So it's, we're just I you hope that they're turning the tide on this a little bit though. It seems like they're trying to rectify it in the long run, but it's still shambolic sometimes on how they're doing business.
I've been skeptical and I'm gonna hold to my skepticism to not get overboard with being optimistic. I mean, they impressed me a lot with Leicester because Leicester's a shrewd team. No, even if they're having not the best season, they have confidence. They know how to play. They could beat us.
Mhm.
And we handled them solidly. And then the way we came and showed that we weren't afraid of Liverpool especially in the first half, was really good to see. But I do feel like we've been here before you know?
Yeah.
And it's a really like if we don't bounce back and beat Aston Villa, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, we're in trouble. I mean, we have fourth place all to lose at the moment. And given even that, we have third place even to lose. I think Chelsea looks shaky, and all the stuff that's going on about Abramovich and the club, and we got a game at hand on them right now. We got one. I'm looking at the table right now. We win that game, we're 5 points behind them. We still got to play them, and they have a tough running of games still too.
They still have to play some of the bigger teams, I think.
They do, and like United's on our tails, but we got 2 games at hand on them. We win those 2 games.
They're
terrible.
They beat Tottenham because of a
Ronaldo show.
The first goal was sick.
So sick.
But they're also from day to day, they have the whole team ready to quit. Their fans are at the most pissed off they've ever been. Like if we do not, we still got to play them one more time, right?
We do. I'm looking forward to that game soon. It's in April. If
we don't finish above United,
yeah, we don't deserve to be there.
This is the thing. Like, there's still a possibility. There's too many things that are possible right now for me to be like, you know what, the process is working. Arteta's great. This whole thing is going according to plan because we've been here 3 times already this season, only to yet another point where everyone, including me, was saying like, we need to scrap the whole thing. Like, we're still teetering on that edge. And to me, if they don't get, the only thing that will convince me is top 4 at the end of the season and then a good transfer window. That's what I need to be like, you know what? Okay, I'm convinced. And that's going to take until August.
Yeah. I think it's doable though, right? Like we're 11 games left. Villa's going to be tough tomorrow. We absolutely need to bounce back before the international break. But like you, I'm on the fence sometimes, but I will say I think it seems positive. Like the team, whoever you were to have is, I don't know, he must be getting something out of them. They're playing, they're what they showed against Liverpool the other day looks, even pundits are saying, looks like a transformed team. Like they're mentality wise is absolutely.
That game was the first game that I watched in a while where I was like, Arsenal is part of a high quality football match.
Oh yeah.
If you're neutral, you're watching it, you're like, this is a good game. The level of soccer that's being played right now is high. And for so long, the frustrating thing about Arsenal was not even the results, but you'd be watching a game and being like, dude, they bring the level of the game down. Doesn't matter who they're playing. Like it just.
Dude, I was talking about it with a buddy the other day. I feel like this team that we have right now shaping up could be the best team that we've had since like 2006 or 7. Since that Champions League team where we lost to Barca. Like we've been on a steady decline for a really long time. And we've been up there. We've been in the mix sometimes, but we have not, they've not handled business the way that they should. They're being at least clinical, scrappy, figuring it out. Like finally we have even Cedric, even though he had a mental lapse the other day, he's played a lot better in recent weeks than he has been. He's not the answer. I think Tomiyasu belongs to that position. We need him back. Like I like the back 4 when we have that steady back 4.
Yeah.
I mean, they're actually like solid in the back. We got a great goalkeeper. Yeah. Defending, they've really rectified a lot of things. You could see their immaturity a little bit the other day in the Liverpool game because caliber wise, you're talking about a team that's won the league and Champions League the last few years. And they know how to get results. They're probably going to win the league. They could win the league this year.
Yeah, they could win the quadruple. They're still in it.
Totally.
I mean, won the League Cup. So Champions League, people are saying they're the favorites. They look to be the favorites to win the league now because Man City is tottering,
Yeah, they're kind of having a moment, right?
Yeah. So we couldn't have played a better team than we did. And I feel like they got a little lucky too. They kind of got away with that one the other day. Like the 2 mental lapses resulted in goals. And the one, Saka should have cleared the line better on that part.
then the defending from there, no one checked to the ball. Like Odegaard could have slid wide. You know, I forgot who was out wide. Jota like played the ball into Firmino, and it was just a little nice little dink that he put in. I mean, they gotta hold that stuff together against the big teams, but the signs are there. I rate us against our run in with United and Tottenham, and like especially United, they're all over the place. They look terrible at times. So I mean, against Tottenham, even. I mean, if Ronaldo's not there, they lose that game. Like,
Yeah. No, both those teams are wobbling. They're weak. They're at, their morale is low.
yeah,
We have to get results. Like, I mean, we can't lose 3-2 to United again. You know what I mean? The fact that we
totally.
lost to that team.
I was hoping that they were going to actually win their tie against Atletico, to be honest, because that would have been meaning that they're wasting resources on other games. Now they're out of everything too. So like, now they're in the same position as us. But I don't think Ragnick has it figured out. And I think that seems like a weirder appointment every day because no one.
When you appoint someone he's supposed to be this mastermind and you appoint him for 6 months, it's like,
yeah,
I mean, appoint me for 6 months and I'll just be like, okay, Ronaldo up top, obviously, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Put who's the best players on paper, just put them into the most likely
slots. Yeah.
And just be like, go out there and do your best.
Do your thing. Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's, I mean, we definitely have, like, I looked at our fixture list the other day and we actually have some good games coming up too that like we have really winnable matches. Like we play Villa tomorrow. Villa's been good with Gerrard there and they're in 9th, but that's a winnable game tomorrow, like at Villa Park. And we play Palace, then we play Brighton, and we play Southampton. And and Brighton, all tough games.
Villa. Those are we're still coming up against a run of games that will prove whether there is true progress. We'll prove whether we're actually better than we are, because those are hard teams. I mean, Brighton is not an easy team to play. And
we beat Wolves. We beat Wolves twice.
That was surprising to me because I thought we kind of got lucky the first game, and I thought, man, we got to play them again so soon. That's never easy to do, is play the same team twice in a row and beat them, but we did.
Yeah.
So you can't knock it. I don't want to be negative to the point where I want them to lose, just to prove a point. But I'm not going to go ahead and be convinced and optimistic because every time you do that, you get slapped in the face with something new,
So, I mean, there's things about like Arteta that I don't like per se. Like, I don't like his press conferences. I don't really like how he relays the message of what they're doing. But something's working at least for the time being. So, I think he's doing the best within the means. I think he is taking what the Cronkies want and implying that. But like, it seems that he's got them on board for what they're doing. And
you can't deny that the starting 11 seems like they're playing for him, which
for sure. I think they like him too.
Yeah.
You can they seem to all get on well. Like I'm really interested to watch the Amazon thing because I think it's going to be very telling about the personal relationships between it. And like, I even think like Laka likes him. Like we didn't think that before. Now it looks a little different. Like it looks like he's kind of renewed, and it's interesting. It's really interesting to watch. I think unfold. It's been it couldn't have been a better season for the Amazon thing to be filming.
Because going back to some parts of the beginning of the year, you almost can't believe it's the same season.
Right. It's really, we started off bad, really bad.
20th place and after 3 games. That's scary.
And not a goal scored.
Yeah. And it didn't look like there was one coming. And the decisions kept getting made, and the formations were like, are you trying to tank this team?
And right now they got some champagne football going on at times. There is some moments of straight up ball. Oh, dude, Partey is
is important.
Finally,
Team. He's important.
finally.
Yeah, we saw glimpses of it his first season, and a lot of this season he's been poor. So it was almost turning into just a straight up flop. But then when he plays well, we're like, wow.
Oh,
You know?
he's been. I think he's grown into the role as well. I think he's kind of settled in England. He looks happy. He looks. I love the way he like pauses on the ball and like really can change the momentum in that space and can make a tackle. He finally scored a goal. He'll get some confidence from that. I mean, still, yeah, right. Still got to get rid of Granit Xhaka because like every time, I mean, every involvement is just.
I just don't.
It's poor. It's so lackluster and no care and it like he had one decent thing the other day against the Liverpool game and I even was like, God, I just don't like him. At this point,
like,
I've lost all confidence in him.
Sometimes he does something good but it's always when the ball comes to him or something like that.
Yeah.
Or he gets it and he plays two touch, but not in a good way where he's like, you pass and advancing. He just plays two touch to get rid of the ball so he doesn't make a mistake. That's not how it's always been. And that means that his best is not good enough. It kind of changes the whole dimension of the game because you have one player who's not really contributing as much as they need to. And I really want to see a 4-3-3 with Partey holding, Emile Smith-Rowe and Odegaard as basically the boxers, with Partey covering them wherever they go.
That would be sick. That'd be a good formation, actually.
We don't even have Emile Smith-Rowe starting and playing 90 minutes.
I know. And it's tough when he only gets 20 minutes and maybe they're, I don't know the mentality on it. I guess like maybe they're trying to not ease him into it a little bit. Like Saka's been doing it for a little bit longer at the top right there. Like he kind of made his breakthrough a couple years ago, right? And Emile Smith-Rowe is kind of like a full year behind him. Yeah. And so maybe he's like, they're trying to get him to that level in some regard. I mean, it's hard though, because Odegaard right now has really taken that role and blossomed. Yeah. He's showing what he has become, would have been why Real wanted him at a young age. Yeah. He's like become a man.
He's playing that midfield role that he would have been playing in a 4-3-3 at Real Madrid,
Yeah.
But a midfielder is so much more mental almost than physical because your comfort on the ball speeds up your play immeasurably.
Yep.
If it speeds it up half a second because you're just doing it more naturally with confidence,
right.
And once that clicks, then, the growth will be fast and exponential, and you're starting to see that with Odegaard. And if he can start linking up, and that's why I feel like Odegaard and Emile Smith-Rowe as being those two parts of the diamond, like maybe not necessarily wide,
but tucked in front.
Yeah, like just basically two center mids with a holding center mid as Partey covering them and being like box to box with their own side of the field.
But I feel like that would work.
I
feel like this original formation that he's trying was based on the fact that the defense wasn't great before. So you had to have two holding midfielders to kind of make up that deficit back there, right? But now you got I mean, Ben White and Gabriel still has to get the maturity sometimes to not make silly, rash challenges like high up the pitch too. But those two in the middle together seem to just have it sorted. They seem friendly to one another. They seem like they like playing together. And
for their age. And again, center backs too, like when they have the confidence, it'll relax them. And then all of a sudden, the field opens up, the time becomes smaller, their space grows. You look at Van Dijk and it always seems like he has the ball with space, and it's because he's comfortable on the ball,
Yeah, and he gives himself space. He does that on purpose. He plays that almost like sweeper center back role where he's ahead of it because he understands the play.
Yeah.
I mean, he's so commanding back there.
And that's why a player like Xhaka is so detrimental, because it's clear he doesn't play that way. He's always a
Yeah.
little bit rushed. He's always a little bit. He's tight. He's just tight. You know, you got to have players
I
that
will
are.
s- I will say that I think that I think Arteta and Edu have a thing. They don't want any of the old players at all. Like if you're part of the old era, you're gone.
Yeah,
I I think and Jack is going to fall into there. Laka could also be part of that, but
I
I do think he is the only one that maybe has a chance to stay because of his role in what they're doing. And I could see Laka somehow hanging around for a year or two, but I could also see him leaving.
I agree, but having seen at the other last two big players we had where we did contract renewals, how bad that's
I
been,
know. I
and the
know.
fact that Laka he's never really fit into the squad, and it's totally the fault of the managers, in my opinion, because every
Mm-hmm.
time he's been given a chance, he's proven that he can either score goals, he's adapted to become, he has like 7 assists this year. Like
Yeah,
he's a
he's playing. I mean,
soccer.
he's a top. Oh, he's a great player. I've always really I like his attitude too. To be honest, like even if they're losing, the dude is like working and like trying to bring the level up.
How many times has he scored a goal, been benched, come back, scored a goal, been benched, come back, scored a goal? Like he
Yeah,
doesn't he doesn't affect his attitude, which is great. You know, I won't be pissed off if we keep him, but I also feel like we just need, if this seems to be what you're right, that Edu and Arteta are like, we need to completely flush out the squad. You know, we need to move on. And I think that's probably the right way. And if it's so, let's just move on.
clean.
You
Yeah,
know?
and honestly, I think what we've talked about many times and the granite jacket thing, I think it has to be a contractual thing that he plays. I think that there's some weird stuff that happened before in the contracts,
Yeah, and the
and they need to get rid of all that, and they're starting over.
The Wenger era contracts seemed like they were just rotten to the core, you know, where you
Yeah,
had clauses like that and you had weird things that like, okay, we'll get you for this price, but it's because of this and that and the other thing. You know what I mean?
yeah. It's interesting to watch it play out, and I like I said, I can't wait to watch a more detailed view of it and see what they actually will show us and how it's being relayed
Yeah.
because it's going to be salted down a little bit for sure, and they're not going to like I'm sure Man City and Tottenham did too. They were like, you can't show that, you can't show that. But I think it might even be more so at Arsenal. It's gonna be like Russian state-run TV or something that they don't want their propaganda getting out there in the wrong way. But like I think we really the overhaul seems to be good. I every signing that we made this year is quality, and it's interesting. I miss Sambi Lakonga on the field though. I wish that he would get a
Right
game.
off the bench.
I think he was hurt for a little bit, and him and Tomiyasu, I don't really know what's going on with that. I mean, Tavares, he's obviously behind Tierney. That's like there's talk of Tierney going to Real. I could see that happening. I could also see him staying for at least another year after getting into Champions League. If we get into Champions League, that this team isn't really moving around.
That's why it's so important too.
It's imperative. Like
Where we're at right now, after everything we've been through this season, if we don't get Champions League, then all of a sudden Saka, ESR, Tierney are very, very critically likely to leave. Because that's a year where we have to try to build,
especially Saka, man. I feel like that's the one. Even though he's really recently said like Arsenal's my home, I love this place, I don't want to leave at all. I think if we're not in champion,
he doesn't want to, but that's not always a matter of wanting,
right?
And yeah,
I know it's really tough. And we really got to be really careful with this whole situation. I think the signs are right. I'm like you though. There is a worry there that we're not going to hold it together. But I think the way this has since the Man City game on New Year's Day, we look different. There's something different going on. Like they got confidence. That was a game like the Liverpool game. I don't think we deserve to lose it. Yeah. I think that we were the dominant force in the game. If you watch the Liverpool game back, I watched highlights the other day. We were commanding the game in so many ways. They were shook throughout the first half. Jurgen Klopp was losing his fucking mind on the sideline.
Yeah, which is a sign that you have them rattled.
Yeah,
That's
he was
true
fucking
stuff.
furious.
I mean, like when Pep and Klopp are being nice and and complimenting that
it,
you haven't done shit.
You're out.
When they're
Right.
screaming pissed off and losing their shit,
Mhm.
rattled. And Martinelli, dude, was burning play.
Arnold.
Dude,
Arnold. Dude, he had Arnold
apart, dude.
Dude, Arnold looked like an average defender, not the type of player. Like he already has mental lapses with defending. He's not super fast. He can play the ball like nobody, and he's great at that. But he got turned on 10 times in that game. Like he was getting beat down the line constantly. Martinelli is a fucking beast.
Dude, and that
we thought he was gonna be. Oh, that Meg was fucking nonsense.
And then who's there crashing the ball? That's still one thing
I don't
understand about this team is why don't we have numbers crashing crosses?
I know. We're playing high press as well.
For a while this season, it seemed like the only strategy was get the ball to Tierney so he can whip in a cross, and yet we don't have numbers crashing the box.
Yeah.
Why is there's still things, that if we end up not getting top 4, all of this shit is gonna resurface and it'll be like, Arteta, what the fuck are you telling them?
Because that finishing part. I mean, we do struggle for goals sometimes. That's been an issue. I think lately it's gotten better. I think the one thing this year though we benefited from is not being in Europe. I think what we're seeing right now is the team having trained together a lot. They look like they just know where they're going to be. They look like it's become second nature in some regard. Like Man City, the pass is happening whether the space has already been there because they already know it's going to be there. They're like, we're doing it this way, and we don't have to travel for European games right now. We don't have to travel for FA Cup games or Carabao Cup. The fact that we're out of everything, they're just working on it daily right now, which has probably helped them. But we need to get into Champions League or it's a big fucking flop in general. Agreed. I think even Europa League at this point,
no,
it doesn't matter.
Europa Conference League will be a terrible, terrible drain on resources.
Failure.
It's a failure if we don't win those competitions. So every time we do something, it's going to be lose, really. If we win, we should have won. If we lose, it's a nightmare. And
so who would you bring in now? I saw something this morning on BBC about a fire sale at Real because of issues financially there. And there was talk of Jovic, and he already has been linked to Arsenal. Even Eden Hazard was linked to Arsenal today. Which I don't want Eden Hazard. No, not at all.
I mean, the way Arteta plays clearly is you don't want any nonchalant players on the team. You have to work even harder than you normally work. It's almost like Atletico, where you're not going to get a player who's one of these casual, get the ball kind of.
Yeah, he got rid of Ozil already. Yeah.
Yeah, and Hazard's been terrible at Real Madrid.
He's fat. He's gained a ton of weight.
Yeah, he's notoriously a terrible trainer. He doesn't like to train.
Yeah.
He's 31.
Yeah, he's at the tail end.
I remember when you were telling me that Wenger wanted him before he went to Chelsea. That was the time to get him. We didn't get him then. Why would we get him 15 years later? You know what I mean?
I know we should have bought him then. We were heavily linked to him at that time. It was I don't agree with that one. Jovic, all right. I don't even think that's gonna happen. I think Isak was the one that they were talking about. Yeah. I've seen some of them. I don't know. We're gonna need a forward. We're gonna need a holding midfielder. Those are certainly positions we have to fill. We're gonna need another right back because I think I don't see Cedric staying for good in that backup role.
He has 2 more years on his contract, but
this could be a time to get rid of him then. What's the team news?
I mean, honestly, I would say sell Cedric sell or let Lacazette go, sell Pepe. I love Pepe. He doesn't fit in this team. You know what I
No,
mean?
he doesn't. Yeah.
And if they're doing,
El Neni.
I mean, anyone who ever played for Wenger
He's got to
finally
go.
needs to go. Holding needs
Yeah.
to go. Bring back Saliba, like have him be someone who's coming in from behind. Maybe you could play a 3 in the back, like you could play a 3-5-2 maybe. Like I don't know, but
It'll be
yeah.
an interesting. It's going to be an interesting window, and I think even next year is going to be interesting. Like because of the World Cup falling in November, it's going to really. But I think the one thing is the World Cup tournament is probably going to be fucking great because they're going to be all well in. They're not going to be tired. Normally in June they played a full season. They're going to be prime in the middle of the season.
How's that going to work? They're going to start the league, pause it, and then restart it.
Yep, everyone's taking a break, and it's November like 22nd to December 22nd. So there's just gonna
all Christmas.
Yeah, we're already winter, all Christmas and winter. Like Thanksgiving, there's gonna be a bunch of games. So you're gonna be like, and
part of
and
it.
Yeah, for the viewing part at home, it's gonna be awesome because especially for like where I live, it's rainy. There's not much going on in the wintertime here. You don't want to go out much there. Yeah, you're just like, games are going to be on in the morning, and I don't like. Yeah, right. It'll be an interesting tournament, and but it's going to be tight. I think they have the same turnaround this summer of time, and it still starts in August, and then they take a break. It's going to finish later next year. It has to, unless they're going to pack the games.
It'll probably end like end of June, which means a shortened preseason.
Yeah.
Means even more pressure this window coming up is crucial. We're at such an inflection point, and we're so set up so well to finish in fourth place, which is really all we needed to do. Fourth place and maybe a trophy was the goal for the season, really. But fourth place is equivalent of like winning the league if we were where we really should be. So,
because what's the payout? It's like it's a ton of money to get back in Champions League, especially it'll be worth a lot for us that we haven't been there for a long time. So
totally.
Not that they're going to use it in the right manner, but I do think that the tide has shifted a little bit for them. Like they seem to have been able to spend some money last year. I think they're going to continue recruitment, even though January was like just offloading still. I think we did talk about this a long time ago of all the players that we needed to get rid of, and they've been chipping away at it like a lot. There's still some dudes in there though that got to go, like Holding,
Elgin, Cedric, and Xhaka are the last of the dead wood, really.
Yeah, totally. Because right now, if you lost like Ben White right now or Gabriel, I'd be like, fuck that changes the whole look of that field. I mean, the way those two defend and the way that they get the ball out and control the back right now, it's really like it's so improved from before.
For sure.
That we definitely need a top striker. That is certainly needs to be a priority. Like they're going to need to spend money. I don't know. Because I feel like whoever we want is not who they're going to go for. They're going to go for someone that we don't know. That is, I mean, they did show some things, like the scouting's still decent. Like they figured out that there's some players out there that they can spend that aren't really known. Like who would have thought that Ramsdale would have been the fucking player that he is? We did not, certainly. We were both very much like
relegated like 4 times already.
And I've seen him play when he was at Middlesbrough. I remember when he was the fucking goalkeeper. I remember I've watched a few of those games and I was like, dude, that dude sucks. Like,
yeah, he seized the bull by the horns and stepped into this role the way you hope that every signing will.
Oh, he's bossed it. I mean, there's now like being like, oh, why is Pickford the number 1 for England? I think Ramsdale's far better.
I mean, I think he's clearly
Clear decision.
English goalkeeper and maybe the best goalie in the league. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I mean, did you see Brendan Rodgers' reaction to the save that he made the other day?
Wow.
Wow.
He's
like, can't get mad about that. Wow. Like,
that's
their
huge.
one chance that they had on goal too. Like, they had no, like, we've kept more clean sheets. Like, they know how to close the games out a little bit better. You know, we just need more firepower. And it is a shame about Pepe. I like Pepe. I think he brings something that we don't normally have.
Was it Wolves when he came in and yeah, it was Wolves. Like,
Changed it around. Yeah.
Won that game for us. He's capable of
Yeah.
doing that. He looked a little bit out of place against Liverpool, but you throw him in, you know, he gets thrown in with 10 minutes to go in these crazy games. And it's like, and everyone's like, well, why didn't he do more? And then he does something like he did against Wolves, and people are like, oh, that's great. And you're like, that's what he's capable of. He's not playing in his right position. Arteta has I think he should be playing on the left forward position, but always cutting forward to be essentially the center forward, the way he did at Lille.
Yeah.
It's clear Arteta will never play him like that. And if that's not the case, sell him while he's still worth something instead of letting him run down his contract, drag on. He's a player that we're not going to get what we spent on him, but we're going to get.
I think I heard 27 million. I heard that was like from 72. So
how do you spend the most you've ever spent on a transfer and then basically
not play him
or not? Like, why did you buy? But the thing is, no one wanted to buy him. Emery didn't.
Yeah.
The only reason we bought him is because Lille let us pay for him in installments. So my worry is that there's going to be other bullshit like that, and we're only going to get who we can get based on some random circumstance. The only reason we got Lacazette was because Atletico was on a transfer ban, and all of a sudden, you know, like, we only get players if there's some sort of extenuating circumstance.
Except for this year, like Ben White, I think that Ben White could have gone anywhere.
That's true.
I mean, people were rating him, and rightfully so. I think we got kind of a steal on. I mean, he is a proper good soccer player. Like,
considering that he's 23, we got him for 50, and then they bought Virgil van Dijk for 75. You know what I mean?
I mean, we got a deal. Like,
he seems
so.
Like
I mean,
for a while, you know, or only better. Only going to get.
I think the one thing that's interesting to me though is they seem happier lately too. They seem like they like each other. They seem like the cohesion's there between them when they win. Like when they beat Wolves the one day, like they straight up were like celebrating, which they should. Like, I mean, they got to give themselves the boost that they need to keep moving forward. And, you know, at least they look like they care about each other off the field as well. And that's always important. Like, you know, sometimes I think some of the bigger teams, like, you know, Liverpool, you got like a bunch of dudes that are very famous now at this point, very good at their craft.
I mean, Salah sometimes looks like he's like, who the fuck are you? You know, to like.
I know, yeah, he has attitude for sure towards like his other players.
Yeah, they don't. It seems like him and Mane like are friends as long as they give each other assists. But
they don't. I heard that they don't like each other like off.
Yeah, like you can just tell in the body language. Like he's like, no, this is my job. I'm a Liverpool player, but basically, fuck these guys. You know?
Right. And I don't know. City probably the same in some regard. Like
City.
You know.
Yeah.
It's the league is shaping up to be an interesting league this year, though. Like, I mean, the table's been kind of just, I mean, moving around like nuts. Like,
been a crazy.
I mean, even at the bottom right now, you don't know who's going to go down. I mean, Norwich is probably certainly going to go down, but besides that, like, it's pretty close between Burnley, Watford, Everton. I think Everton's going to go down, and they're poor. and we lost to them, and we still got to play them
We
again.
lost to them, and we technically lost to them 4-1. Because
Yeah,
they
yeah.
scored 2 goals that were a hair offsides.
They're our last game of the season too,
And
which is good and bad depending on where
a
they're at.
game that we have to win to be in 4th, and they have to win to stay up. You know what I mean? Like, we need to put these next 3 games, we need to put it to bed. You know what I mean? Like, we need to win Brighton, Aston Villa, and who's the other one?
We play Crystal. We play
Crystal
Villa.
Those 4 games. If we get 12 points from that, I think that top 4 is secured.
Yeah, I agree.
That's 12 points. We need 12. 4 wins.
Yeah, we'd be at 60, 64, 63 points, and we'd still have 2 games at hand against United and Tottenham.
That would be the dagger, but that's a tall task. I mean, I think it's possible. It's always possible.
Well,
you just still.
And we play United at home, which is good for us.
Yeah.
Our home form has been pretty good.
Our home
Chelsea
is improving.
Rocking. I mean, even the commentators were like, "This place is completely different." Like,
yeah,
we usually are known as being like a kind of a sleepy place, but they've been that way for the last 12, 13 years. The environment has gotten weird there for a long time. You don't blame it to be people weren't on board. At least it seems like there's sleep. I don't always think that Arteta is the right one either. But I just don't think it's going to change. I think he's definitely going to get a contract extension. I think certainly that's on the table.
And who, at this point, really, would you sack him and then what? The idea.
Yeah, then what? You got to start over again.
Over and rebuilding,
yeah.
It just sounds like, oh.
I know. And then a whole other direction of somebody changing it all up. And
God knows who we would get, because it's not like we're going to get Den Haag or someone like that.
Or Tuchel if he leaves Chelsea. I mean, Chelsea could find themselves in a real position here pretty soon. If they can't pay the wage bill in 2 months.
Dude, they had a special license to be able to pay their players and staff until May 31st. And after that, dude, they might go into administration and drop out of the league. I think it's a very high possibility that happens.
Totally. I mean, the sanctions, it is interesting to watch because in one regard, you feel bad for Chelsea and Abramovich in some degree. And in the other, I don't, because the money is so dirty. I mean, I'm saying if you look at it from the standpoint of Abramovich compared to Stan, at least Abramovich cared about Chelsea. Whether or not he's a bad, terrible person and however his life has been, at least he fucking wanted them to win as an owner. He went to the games. So I support all the sanctions and everything against them. I just think it sucks for the fans a little bit that they're but you let this Russian oligarch.
It shows kind of what happens when you buy your titles, essentially.
Yeah. So when does it stop though? Where is this going to change? I was listening to Talk Sport the other day. It was if we're sanctioning Russia over this, what about the Saudis in Newcastle? And what about the Arab, the United Arab Emirates people? Not that they're doing stuff wrong humanitarian all the time, but I wouldn't say it's the cleanest money coming into the game. And
it never was, but they crossed the line. Russia crossed the line. And
I mean, I support all of that. They're that's a whole other.
I mean, I think just if you have a foreign owner come in who has unlimited money, takes your team from relative obscurity and makes them a contender for titles, just like that, like a genie in a bottle, then you have to think that at one point it could go just as fast,
Yeah,
so
totally.
That's how I feel about Newcastle and City and all that. It's one day something could happen, who knows? And then
your fortune's gone.
They leave, and then it's okay, now build on your own culture and your own thing like everyone else, and then they're going to drop. So
they can't fly they can't fly their plane. Like they can't use their Chelsea plane to go. Like they were talking like how are the players going to get to the Champions League tie the other day, and Havertz was like, or Tuchel was like, I'll drive a bus. If we can't get a bus, I'll get a van. And I mean, it's interesting, huh?
That's going to weigh on them.
Oh yeah,
And there's
totally.
players they can't get. First of all, transfer ban.
Yeah, they're not going to be able to buy anyone.
Then they can't renew contracts. So people who are out of contract will leave. It's gonna
like, how's the sale even going to happen? Because the assets frozen. Like they were.
I don't know.
Someone was like trying to buy it.
Yeah, like if they sell it, but then the money is in escrow indefinitely, or like they say, like you sell it, but the money will take the state will take the money type of thing.
Yeah,
I'm not going to let Abramovich walk away with $3 billion in cash.
right.
So
yeah, it's an interesting development that's happened, and it could really favor us in the long run. I mean,
it's another thing that we need to take advantage of.
Absolutely. I mean, you literally every leg up in this. I don't think that we don't already, like, as a team, you and I watch the games, I think probably different than a lot of people watch the games. We've played, and some fans, like, they just don't see the same things. We do not get fouls or penalty calls at all. Like that one that we got against Leicester, that handball, was truly shocking that we got that penalty to me. Like, I mean, there was a slight hand, but like that's one of those ones I would never have expected us to get a pen for. Like,
or even, dude, I felt like Odegaard kept getting called for fouls yesterday, and it's like,
oh my God, the one was not a foul. The one was not a foul. He stepped in front of the ball, and the ball stopped, and the dude tripped over the leg. He stopped the ball first. That's like, some of the refereeing has just been really poor.
And PKs and things that they don't even look at VAR, where you're like, what the hell?
I know, and I feel like it's really against us. Like,
yeah, my theory is that Kroenke doesn't pay any money towards anything EPL or FA related, and so they're like, they tell the refs, just on those marginal things, they don't get them. You know?
They're not paying their dues.
Yeah, because they're
the system.
I'm sure Kroenke's like, look, we're in the Premier League by law, like legally binding. We're in the Premier League, so we're gonna be, if they want to do Premier League this and Premier League commercials and all that, like, we're not contributing any money to that because we're still in the Premier League.
Totally.
Why should we pay for anything? When that's why, like, they do the Premier League thing, and like Arsenal's like this little badge in the corner, but to Kroenke, that doesn't matter, But I think
it is interesting to watch, like, how we just don't get any of that stuff. Like, it's very blatant sometimes. You're like, dude, that was like, why isn't VAR reviewing this call? And then on the other end, they definitely review it in the same manner. And you're like, how's that any different?
Yeah. The red cards, and going back to last year, and red cards and PKs that were called against us that totally changed.
And then you have someone on the field like Granit Xhaka, who's like synonymous with like doing these things that, like,
dude, he
obviously
yesterday in the box, and it was called.
I know,
and I was like, oh no,
I know. It was one of those ones.
He scraped, and the dude still starts 100% of the time. Like,
yeah,
it just,
I know it has to be written in. There's no other way. If you look at what Arteta does, I mean, they got rid of Aubameyang. Like, they let Aubameyang leave for free.
Who has 7 and 7 for Barcelona.
I mean, much easier league though. Let's not forget where he's playing.
I would say it's the second hardest league in the world.
Sure, but there's a caliber there below 10th and below that it's far easier and slower to score it. Not disagree. I'm reiterating. I'm just thinking it's a different caliber of intensity.
Yeah, it's no doubt harder in the Premier League, but like, you don't score 7 and 7 and
totally. Totally.
If you're a god awful player, You
He's
know,
also probably feels renewed being like the main dude there, like right now, and like one of the top. He's got Javi as the coach. They got a good group of guys right now.
yeah.
So it's you know, but I mean the thing we got rid of Aubameyang for free. Like
He'll
the jacket thing, like, dude, there must be something written in there because like there's no way that this guy gets in the team and Aubameyang doesn't get in the team.
I know. Or
Like
Smith Rowe. Like, how do we have to choose between Emil Smith Rowe and
Odegaard
Odegaard
and
and now you have
Xhaka.
Pepe on the bench and you have,
Well, and
do
I
we
think that
Pepe or Saka, and then but that means that Xhaka plays 100% of every single game.
right. I also just don't think though that Arteta. I think he did like Aubameyang, and I think they did get on at one point, and I think that something happened between them.
Well,
Seriously, that really damaged the relationship, and
it's
I
like
think yeah,
he wants him to play defense, and he's like, you look at the goals he scored for Barcelona. He's scoring the same kind of goals he scored for us when he first came, and then he scored for Dortmund. He's an old school number 9, Lewandowski style. If you brought Lewandowski to Arsenal and said, we're going to
play
play
on the left.
left, and you got to track wing backs, and you got to play defense, and we need you in our own 18-yard box clearing the ball, he would get pissed off and end up having his contract canceled too.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. I think that we played Aubameyang out of position for a really long time. Like he's through the middle. He's through the middle, which is interesting though. Now that Locke is just getting the shout straight up, the dude in the middle always. And where we have been saying for a long time, play fucking Lacazette. Like he belongs on the field.
Yeah. But Lacazette is meant to be almost like a false 9, the way he's playing now. Like, this is the way
he is playing.
He's not scoring goals. He's getting assists. He's doing work off the ball. He's doing hold-up play. That's what we want. So I mean, that's how Pep plays too. He has Foden, or literally, it doesn't matter. Whoever's playing the 9 position for City is basically a false 9 attacking midfielder, mainly a point person to get the ball and lay it off, and the 2 outside forwards are the more central, like.
I know Foden. It's funny to watch Foden play through the straight middle now, like up top, and it's just it's interesting how they switch it up, and it'll be an interesting finish for even those two. I mean, they got to play each other. If Liverpool win all 10 games, they win the league that they have left. So, like, even without City's control, I mean, City has lost.
Alexander Arnold has a pulled hamstring, though. That's going to be big.
Arnold did after the Arsenal game?
For a couple weeks, minimum.
Yeah, it's like a 4-week minimum usually.
That's huge,
Especially with how they I've pulled my hamstring 3 years in a row. It's taken me not at that level months to recover. And there's they tear him in a way that sometimes it's like,
yeah, you can't rush it. It's not when you rush back, No.
It's because you'll just do it again. It has to heal.
Yeah.
And strengthen. And that's like I said, I think it's going to be a really interesting finish, all around, because even Chelsea's been poor in a number of ways. They've gotten results. They've won 5 of the 6, but
I mean, I feel like I haven't really watched a full Chelsea game all season, but to me, they always seem so nondescript. I'm like, are they really that good? They're just a team that they're always there. So if the other team messes up, they'll score.
Mm-hmm.
They keep.
It's kind of like that Mourinho style years ago, where they just forced the ball in. They were always going to score a goal because they're just they're forcing the issue so much. But it's not pretty. It's not entertaining. It doesn't excite.
There's not a formation you might talk about the Drogba and Lampard and those years, you know, but like there isn't really like a Chelsea team that stands out in my mind. It's like, oh, that Chelsea team, I remember them, you know?
Well, and even right now, like I haven't heard anything about Timo Werner in a while. Like I mean, what, and Lukaku's like on the bench a lot. Like I don't think all is well there either. Like they got rumblings of like problems. Like you get egos in this game. Like you get people that are
Yeah.
it'll be an interesting shakeup. I mean, I think that we have a really good chance to finish in the top four. Like, I mean, the way that we've been playing, if they can keep this run going, and we get, we have what 11, we have 11 games left. We have more than most teams left.
We need
That's
Martinelli.
30. That's 33 points potentially.
We need Martinelli, ESR, Saka, and Odegaard to have between them 15 goals
Yeah.
out till the end of the season and 10 assists, something like that, or 10 goals, 15, it's something like they all need to fire. And it's totally possible. And that's the kind of stuff that will get me excited, like seeing players really
Are you waking up? Are you waking up and watching it tomorrow? It's 5:30 because of daylight savings time, not 4:30. So
extra hour of sleep. Yeah, I'll wake up.
Yeah. I'm gonna get up and watch it. I think it's gonna be a good game tomorrow. I think, they got Coutinho now and Buendia on that team. But we can beat them.
Yeah. We
should beat them. Should beat them, yeah.
Yeah, it'll be a good one. But they got to prove it to me. I'm still in the camp where like, okay, find me at the end of the season. And then I'll tell you, if we're fourth place, then I'll say, yes, it worked. You did a good job. I'm glad.
Remember before when we first started doing this and we were like, man, this is going to be good, so good. And then it like really just.
Yeah. But also whenever we thought it was good, then they totally turn a different direction stylistically.
Totally.
At least it's like Arteta
now it's consistent a little bit.
Like he has a starting 11 that he wants.
Yeah. Yeah.
And at least there's some sort of consistency to that because for a while, even this year, he was throwing up formation changes like they were nothing, and
maybe we're just trying to figure out who he wanted in there. Maybe it wasn't right. Maybe, like there were some people in the team that they couldn't, I think Aubameyang didn't fit into how they wanted and off the field as well.
Well, that's what
obviously
happens when you have someone like Aubameyang who ultimately doesn't fit this style of play.
Yeah.
Unfortunate, but it's like if he's picking a system and going with it, then that's got to be the way it is. And if there's players that don't fit, he's clearly going a different direction than I would have liked to go with what we had at the beginning of the season.
Right. Yep.
Like I think everyone thought that Pepe, Laka, and Alba were your obvious starting three forwards with extreme firepower that would be up there with the best of the best. But Arteta saw that and said, no, I'm going to play Aubameyang on the left and the other two get benched, So that pissed me off. But if you're going to go that way, then just go that way full bore.
Yeah.
Well, and clearly it's worked to some degree. The way he wants it is not completely worthless, but he's got to do it.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's, I don't always agree with that. I agree with the formation part about it for you. Like what you say, I don't see the point of having the two holding players sometimes. And especially when Granite Jack is gone, I hope that kind of gets altered a little bit. I hope that we kind of move away from that. And I'd love to see that Partey, Odegaard, Smith Rowe thing in the middle. And then we're going to be a force to be reckoned with though next year. If they get into Champions League and we make a couple solid signings, like we're going to be
scenario.
Yeah.
Our back five, Partey, ESR, Odegaard in the three in the midfield. Then Saka, Martinelli, Lautaro Martinez from Inter.
Oh, dude. Have they talked about him?
He's been linked. I think it might be too much, but Inter is like Inter's always like no one is safe at Inter, because they spend a lot of money and then they randomly need a lot of money
Yeah.
or just a quality striker up top, and then all of a sudden you're like, damn, I put that team up against anybody.
I mean, they right now, like I just feel optimistic about how they are. Like, so the fact that we're so young, and they got so much time ahead of them, if we can keep this group of guys together for like 4 years,
In 3 years, if this team stays together with a couple additions,
should win the league.
They really should.
Yeah,
I mean,
they should.
If their confidence and their relaxation levels keep increasing and keep solidifying, this team is going to be dangerous, man.
Totally. And they can run this for like 8 to 10 years, depending. These are the type of waves when you start young and you go that route.
The back end of this decade could be Arsenal glory years for sure.
Totally, which is exciting to see us with some talent. Like, I love the young guns that we have. Like, and dude, have you seen Amari Hutchinson?
Yeah.
He's like,
there might be another Hale.
There's another one. No, he's already him and Charlie Patino. Charlie Patino's sick and he's young. And Amari Hutchinson today was like posting a photo with Neymar at a Puma event, like somewhere. And I've watched some like clips of him from the academy. He's gotten the call up now. He's been on the bench a couple times in the first team, like recently. Dude, just watch some of his goals. He like clinical, like really strong coming through. And we got Balogun still too. Balogun's been balling at Middlesbrough. So like he's going to come back next year. And Nketiah is going to be gone. I think Balogun and another striker, Laka's probably not going to be in the fray, likely, but we'll see.
We're in a great position. You can't be pessimistic right now if you're in Arsenal.
Yeah,
but
totally. Skeptical.
I won't call it skeptical optimism. I'll just call it skeptical, but not pessimistic.
Totally. I gotta run.
Sure.
But it's been good. We'll have to try to do it again next week.
Yeah.
I think tomorrow definitely is going to be a worthy adversary match, and I'm looking forward to it.
Definitely.
Thanks for joining us today. Thanks for
always a pleasure.
Always.
We'll see you next time.
Yeah, I'm not even going to give a prediction because we don't,
No,
it's been working out better without it.
Yeah.
Join us next time. Appreciate anyone showing up. Peace.